The reason someone like Walt Disney has a profound effect on the world isn't because of the person himself, other than the fact that he got the ball rolling. Right now, all the things that are happening under the name of Walt Disney have nothing to do with the guy except for the thing he got started. Other people can come in and do things that he wouldn't have done, but is being done under that name to plurally alter design. Plural, W, alt, alter, Walter, Disney, design. And Elias was his middle name for all eyes. So if you don't see that it's plurally altering all eyes through design, that's exactly what Walt Disney does. And it's not just the person, it's the entity. And it's still alive now. He isn't, the body that started it isn't, but in the same way, this is what's happening with all of us. We put out resonations and they echo, and then those echoes gather other resonations, and those resonations also have attitudes and feelings and desires, and those manifest too. And then we compile all this stuff together and go, wow, we're way out of control. Maybe we need to slow down a little bit and start thinking. That's where we're at right now. Let's not just live a dream. Let's actually get together and live in reality. When I say that I've experienced everything, and this is all the same story, and I can explain every word, every person, every detail, I'm not joking. But are you going to take the time to actually listen to it? Or are you going to look for meaningless details that I'm not going to want to tell anybody because they don't mean anything? And someone may say, well, I think it means something. Well, here's the thing. I'm more in tune with reality, and I know that the things that you want to know about, if those things come up as questions, are things that won't help. Like what this person did back in history, what that person did back in history. I can explain to you why they were in the exact position they were in the world doing what they were or what they were known for. That is all that needs to be known. Everything else, you'll never be able to see and experience, so all it does is go against the narratives you've heard. And all that does is causes confusion and causes people to defend things that they want to believe. Like people saying, Christ was a real person. There's a real historic account. Don't you think people could make that up and then confuse other people with it? Of course they could, but you don't want to think that that's even a possibility because somebody found a paper that was documented from such an old time and it was dated to be that day. Like a scientist couldn't just say that, which they can. They can make props for a movie that looks like an old ancient book, and they can make that brand new looking old. It's not like we don't have the ability to do everything possible to deceive each other. But do we have anything in our ability to tell each other the truth? Yes, it's in our hearts and souls, and that's where the truth comes from. Not just what you thought you knew. When you know, you know. There's a huge difference, and most people can't even tell. And I'm here to show you that this is the same story, so I can talk about everything. That's why it's hard for me to find a place where I should start. Everything. It's all the same story. Seriously. And I have to show you the way I'm doing it because you can learn to apply this to your own life and to the questions that you have. And when you can't find the answer, let it go because it doesn't matter that much. You're living just fine without it. Now what we need to do is see what we can do to make this situation better. Okay?
Maybe this will be a good way to try to put it. See it as a high level of wizardry where you can understand plant conversation and artificial intelligent conversation. You can speak computer language. You can speak the language of not just telepathy, but of sine waves and frequencies. But even though that is possible, let's just say it could be possible for every individual as a being who can concentrate their thought. Let's just say that's the case. It's possible for everyone. You just have the choice to either do that or not do that. This day and age, most people would be more interested in having a cheeseburger than seeing how deep they can really go. That's the case.
When you just stop and think about it, it's kind of appalling how obvious and how backwards things have always been. Let's just say your grandparent or your elder parent at this point in time, say they're in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and they go to spend something at the store, and they're from a generation where, hard work and farming and stuff like that was still kind of normal. And they're from that generation, and they still don't think to themselves that nature grows food. We should be growing our own food. Instead, they think, give me my receipt. I want to make sure I put that in my checkbook because you got to keep track of what you spend. You got to balance your money because you got to have food. Well, food grows. There's never been a need for money. And when you really stop and think about it and quit giving yourself excuses to go, but we have to do that. Oh, but we have to. Oh, but we have to. Every time you say, but we have to, ask yourself, is that really true? Does nature require that? Or is that just a man-made demand put upon you? When you really take it in and think about it, it's all a man-made demand. You're supposed to stand up for yourself and do what you want to do with your life, but don't be some kind of schlub who just does some dumb shit with your life. Do something meaningful. Help the world. Really do that. That fairy tale idea of saving the world or being good to the planet isn't that far-fetched. In fact, it's at the heart and soul of every person until they lose it from interactions with other people and experiences through life, which I get. But when you look at it and you think, look how backwards we are, saving our pennies and tracking our spending when all we've got to do is get close to nature again. A guy says to me, you know, life is difficult, but we just got to keep chugging along, doing what we've got to do. And I said, no, there's a lot of things that we're doing that we don't have to do. And if we look at it the right way, what we've got to do is to stop doing most of the things that we're chugging along doing. It's almost opposite. So we shouldn't just embrace ridiculousness on a daily basis, on a momentary basis at that. And I said to him, I'm trying to lead the way. And what sucks is I'm leading a better way. But nobody wants to come that way because it means they've got to give some stuff up. And most people are so stuck on the dumb things that they know they don't need but want, that they're not taking any steps towards the things they need and truly desire deep down in their heart and soul, which happen to be freedom, understanding, the ability to make their own decision, to learn what life is about, to not just keep doing pointless things every day, day after day. That's actually what we're here for. That's how evolution takes place. You don't just keep doing meaningless stuff until you die, unless that's the kind of life you want. And if it is, you're showing it by not standing up for yourself. So don't keep chugging along. Lead a better way. Or, until you're ready to do that, follow somebody or join somebody who is leading a better way. A lot of the things that I have happen on a regular basis are so subtle and so minute, it would be ridiculous to try to make a video or recording out of any of them. But sometimes it's so much, which some days it's like when I'm in tune and paying attention, it's always there. But there's days where I just try to not pay attention, try not to be so in tune because it just seems to make other people mad. But say today, for instance, something as simple as I'm almost out of dollars. I have $1 left and I think, well, I need to get some dollars. Hopefully either somebody pays us some dollars pretty soon or I'll just wait till the next time and do it while somebody's up here when the register's open. And the next person comes in and pays with like $22 in ones. And then it'll be something as simple as I put away odor ban tropical scent and then Resolve carpet cleaner, a special Maui mist that I've never seen before, that has never been there before, that I've never seen anybody buy. And a couple of them, the odor band has been there for a long time, but I've never seen anybody buy it. I just put those away. And then another person comes in with her kids and gets odor ban and carpet Resolve, the same exact two things I just put away. And then I'll talk about something specific in detail. And then the next guy comes in and does that. And the next guy comes and does that. And the next guy comes and does the next thing. And because it's happening and I start mentioning it to people, the next thing happens and they notice it. And they're like, well, you're weird. What am I supposed to do? I can't turn it off. You can't turn off manifesting. But the thing is, I'm trying to do it in a positive way and have nobody who's directing me into anything that's actually positive. They're directing me towards, check out what this guy says about the end times. Check out what this guy says about it. And I'm not trying to manifest any more of that. Do you understand? If you quit paying attention to it, you'll manifest less of it. And if you see where those things are starting to happen in the real world, do whatever you can to bring those to other people's attention so they can stop taking part and contributing to those things. It's really that simple. It's just you have to be aware wherever you go, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, whatever you're taking part in. Can you be conscious while you do it? That's the challenge. I could have sex, I could go playing a game, I could go swimming in a lake, but I'll still be there and I'll still be conscious of it. I won't be going, my mind's everywhere, thinking about this thing or that thing or this person or this lost love or this thing in my mind or this thing from my past. I've dealt with all that. Physically and for real, as a person and emotionally, I've taken care of all that. So when I see the people who say like, yeah, well, I've done a lot of shit in my life. I'm like, well, get over that. The stuff that you've done before in your life has nothing to do with today anymore, unless you're holding on to it. So get rid of that. Quit living in your past like that makes you this now. Yes, it led you to this, and now you can still continue to grow and improve. Try that. Please. I would just love to see that happen instead of people being stuck on, I'm going to do the same thing tomorrow as I did yesterday, and the same thing I'm doing today, and the same thing after that, because this is who I am. No, it's not. You could be so much more. And somebody just has to motivate you to do so. That's what I'm trying to do. That's my job, to bring in the Christ so the concepts can here rise and people can uplift themselves and evolve to something better, not to keep doing animalistic, rude, unnecessary things. What I really see as somewhat alarming is that I've shown enough people what I'm saying and how it actually works. And they go, wow, that actually does make sense. And I see that that does work. And then they go, whatever. And then people send me stuff about, this is all the illusionary matrix and blah, blah, blah. And I'm showing them that there is an illusionary part of it. But there's a part that underlies it all that isn't an illusion, that it is how it works. And they'll still listen to what I'm saying and then watch somebody else talking about something along the lines of something else. And because I'm talking about words at a subtle level, there's nobody else talking about things the way I am. There are plenty of people who are similar to each other. The only similarity that I have with anybody else is that I'm saying words and letters. I'm telling you a deeper part of all of it, not what other people are saying, deeper than what people are saying. And it goes more than the words and letters. It goes into who we are as a spiritual energy. And I know all these things. I'm trying to help you understand them through simple beginnings. Because without having some kind of foundational understanding, you can't teach somebody rocket science if they don't understand ABC, you know? It gets alarming when people send me stuff saying, what do you think about what this person says? And they're talking about the secondary and the third matrix and the da-da-da-da. They have all the ideas that they've seen throughout their childhood and through their life, watching movies and TV, and now they've compared those things. This has nothing to do with what I'm doing. I can use those and compare, but that's not the end of what I'm doing. That's just something to use so that people can get a gist of what I'm saying. But it is very alarming when people can see that what I'm talking about is true, and no one else knows this, but then they'll send me something along the lines of what they've heard before from somebody else. And it makes me go like, what are you doing? Can't you see that what I'm saying is unique and true? And these other things are definitely distractions that you don't need to get stuck on, but people get stuck on. And I understand, but it's frustrating. Don't get me wrong, I love weather of all types. When I'm in the middle of a storm or something, it may be a little different at that moment. Weather patterns are exactly what they are. Nothing we can do about it, except, there is manipulation, but let's leave that out for a moment. Here's a point I want to make. I don't know if you can hear how hard it's raining outside, but there have been more than an armful of occasions where people have either came on like really strong downpour thunderstorm days or where there's a blizzard. For instance, this lady just came in and was saying how horrible it was outside and how she wishes she didn't have to come out, but she needed to make a stop. So she literally made it a point to say that she had to stop here to do what she was doing, and she didn't want to have to do it because it's downpouring and it's horrible out and she doesn't want to drive in this. And all she got was a box of mac and cheese and 2 bags of donuts. Now, those were necessities. Like I've said, I have no problem with the weather, but I plan and I adjust accordingly. When you watch people do stuff like that and they're like, oh, I wish I didn't have to come out in this crap. Oh, it's so horrible. But I had to make a stop. And they came out and got mac and cheese and donuts. Where are your necessities? Why did you have to come, quote unquote, to risk your life or drive in this crazy weather to get donuts and mac and cheese? Even if there was some kind of circumstance where someone you loved really wanted that mac and cheese or somebody you really loved wanted those donuts, get over it. Tell those people, hey, I'm not going out in this crap because I don't want to risk my life for mac and cheese and donuts. I mean, it's almost ridiculous to say, but there are so many people who do things like that. And then they come in and complain about something that they're doing and being the example of why they shouldn't, and the opposite example of what they're doing compared to what they're complaining about. Like, I hate coming out in this when I don't have to, and they came out when they didn't have to. It's absurd. And then you try to point out to people and they go like, screw you, man. No, did you really need those donuts so bad? Well, I had a craving. Or my kid wanted a powdered donut. Or my husband wanted a glazed. Get over it. Tell these people to stop being babies And it's not because I'm being rude. It's because look at us. We can be so much better. All we have to do is want to be and then apply that. We have a group of people called Driveline. They come and they do like price changes, but not just the simple price changes. When we have a whole section that gets a new display or a new setup, they come in and they do it. It's called Driveline. And I've had really deep conversations with them, and I can go into their names because it's too amazing. This is all not just from my mind. I'm in the mind of the creation, and I can speak about it from being in it. That's the point. I'm not saying that I created it all. I have seen the I create it all, and I happen to be one of the characters noticing all of it. That's the problem, is that nobody wants to see what I'm trying to say when I'm saying, oh, I'm still here. I'm just a normal everyday guy, but I understand creation to an extreme degree where that's never going to go away, but I'm still here and I'm just a dude. So, hey, how you doing? Anyway, she put one of those stickers on that goes beep, beep, beep between the two sensors when you leave the door on a lime Pepsi because she wanted to see if it would go off. And she's like, when they went to leave, it didn't go off. And she's like, look. And I looked over and there was standing there like looking at me like it was my fault, holding the pop thing to the real close to it, and then it finally went off like when it touches it, and then holding it in the middle and looking at me like, see? And here's the point. If somebody wanted to steal Pepsi, I don't know what their problem would be. Not only should they not steal anything, why would you steal something that's horrible for you? I mean, think about it a little deeper. Oh no, if these things don't work, then people could steal our stuff. Well, if it happens to be Pepsi or the junk quite like it, why does it matter? Whose stuff are you protecting? That's not your life asset. That's somebody else's garbage that you're peddling. I wish people would see the point I'm trying to make. Our lives are doing mostly nothing but peddling garbage for other people, whether it's the information they want us to tell or the merchandise they want us to sell. It's usually peddling garbage. Why am I the only one interested in stopping that? At least it seems that way. I can't say that I'm the only one, but it seems that in my area, I'm the only one interested in stopping that. Other people want to complain about stuff, but don't want to do anything to change. We all know that. It's the broken record story. But what is it going to take to get people to do something about it? Let me make a point, and I know I've said this before and I'll say it many other times. It's not just the fact that it's your name. It's just that we've learned words based on an area or a state, a country, a city, a certain dialogue with certain friends that you may have that you grew up learning. Now those words have been tied to ideas and traditions and interactions. And now those words mean something to you. And your name will vibrate with that because from the very beginning, you were named that and it resonates with you. And when you do things in my name, in Christ's name, you're resonating with yourself. Find a good way in a world where you can actually feel senses and realize what's not only good for you, but good for others that isn't harmful and work from there. That's it. There's nothing to do with having to change your name to be more powerful or something like that. In a world like this, that can work. But if you want to manipulate people, that's all that's going to do for you. To actually ascend from this world of manipulation and misunderstanding, the thing to do is to completely see what it is, work within it to change it, and leave the things that you can't do anything about go. Don't just not try. You have to try, or else what's the point? Oh, my kids are failing at something. I give up. Let them keep failing. Let them fall on their face. He's juggling butcher knives. He might stab himself in the face. Well, I don't want to step in and do anything about it. That's basically what the world's doing right now. They're juggling butcher knives. They're not thinking anything about it. And if somebody comes up and says, hey, maybe you guys should stop doing that. And if you're not going to stop doing that, at least wear protective gear. And they go like, oh, go to hell. You don't know what you're talking about. And that's kind of where we're at. That's an extreme example, but we're even more extreme than that in some cases. All I'm trying to say is it's not just your name, but we do vibrate from a very base level. And most people don't even have the brain to comprehend what I'm trying to say. And I'm not saying that for any negative reason. I'm saying it because it happens to be what is. And I'm trying to put it into words so that people can hear it and then maybe try to increase their level of understanding so they can try to learn better. If I say, you don't seem to understand, then maybe a person will say, what is it that he thinks I don't understand? Maybe I should try to understand more. That's what I'm hoping saying that does. Even though it is the case, I hope that it inspires you to try harder to understand what I'm talking about because it is so subtle and it is everything to do with who you've always been and who you'll always be. But now you can make the free will decision to change and live in your own light, live in your own essence, not what somebody else told you. That's the point. You don't want to keep doing this wheel over and over. You want to make your name, make a name for yourself. Doesn't just mean change your name as in, hey, I'm going to call myself something completely different. No, it means be who you truly are inside. Not your name, not your tradition, your family, or your country. Those things are all secondary. You're something much more powerful than that, and you wouldn't have been created just as a fluke. There's a reason for it all. There's dark sides and there's great sides. But let's just focus on staying in the middle until we're ready for the other ones. Most people aren't. And when they start getting into it, they only look at the negative and they freak out. And then if they only look at the positive, they'll never look at the negative, so they don't freak out. You got to start in the middle, and you got to take it all on head on. There's no way to tiptoe into profound understanding.